White House officials are troubled that key legislation hasn't been passed out of the state legislature amid personality clashes. This is Tuesday, March 24th, 2026.
Texas Scorecard presents the day's first news for the Lone Star State. The Texas Minute, with your host, Michael Quinn Sullivan.
Welcome into Tuesday. Thanks for making time for the Texas Minute. Both Ken Paxton and John Cornyn have been awaiting word on which of them will get a long-sought-after endorsement in the GOP Senate runoff from President Trump. The president himself, though, has been talking about the weakness of the Democrats' nominee. More on that story coming up. An unnamed female employee in the Goliad Independent School District has voluntarily resigned amid allegations of sexual misconduct involving a former student. Goliad ISD officials report that they found no evidence in a preliminary review that the teacher, who they have refused to name, engaged in any misconduct. Local parents have identified the person as an 8th grade teacher who was previously honored as a Goliad ISD Teacher of the Year. Parents allege that the woman had communicated with students through the social media app Snapchat, describing her actions as grooming. Corpus Christi has secured a short-term groundwater permit to help address the city's water shortage during a severe drought. To address the emergency, Governor Greg Abbott waived several regulations last week, allowing the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality to issue a temporary water use permit. The governor also directed the Lavaca Navidad River Authority to modify its drought plans to allow Corpus Christi to continue drawing at its current water allotment from Lake Texana. According to city officials, the actions have improved the water supply outlook, which had begun approaching emergency levels. With Republicans waiting on Donald Trump's endorsement in the Texas Senate GOP runoff, the president himself turned his attention to the general election, blasting Democrat nominee James Talarico. In a post on Truth Social, Trump described Talarico as a, quote, fraud, in all caps, and argued that the Democrat would be a weak general election candidate. The president's post included a series of personal criticisms of Talarico, accusing him of being weak and ineffective. Trump wrote that he believes any candidate will beat Talarico in November. The Texas Minute will be right back.
Are you worried about your kid's future? You should be. I'm Charles Blaine with Texas Tomorrow. This is a show where we're going to talk about the issues and the people that are pushing the policies that concern your family, your home, and your kids. Catch Texas Tomorrow every Thursday.
A Republican lawmaker is challenging his colleagues to advance legislation aimed at ending taxpayer-funded government education for illegal aliens after his proposal was sidelined over what was euphemistically described as an author problem. In the culture of the Texas House, that's when legislation is authored by someone whom the lobby or the chamber's leadership simply doesn't like. Last year, Republican State Representative Andy Hopper of Educator authored legislation to challenge a 1982 U.S. Supreme Court ruling requiring states to provide free public education to the children of illegal aliens. In a closed-door state leadership conference in Washington, D.C. last week, Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller questioned Texas lawmakers about their failure to advance such legislation, asking whether Texas had a, quote, RINO problem. Reportedly, Republican State Representative Jared Patterson of Frisco was forced to admit that Hopper's legislation wasn't giving a hearing due to a personality clash, not for substantive reasons. So yesterday, Hopper announced that he would be happy to see Patterson himself file the legislation in 2027, so the author problem couldn't be used as an excuse. As Ronald Reagan said, you can accomplish great things if you don't care who gets the credit. You can find details on all the stories mentioned today and keep up with the latest news by visiting TexasScorecard.com. This edition of the Texas Minute was produced by Nick Shepard and based on the original reporting of Aaron Anderson, Eddie Hovland, and Brandon Waltons. I look forward to seeing you out around the Lone Star State. Now, go make it a great day.